Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. It's called AI and Robotics Industrial Transformation, Leveraging Hong Kong Unique Advantage to Build a Robotic Journey in Asia. My name is Andy Wong. I'm from Invest Hong Kong. And together myself, we have my colleague who's Ms. Kiyoko Hashiba-san, who's based in Tokyo. Myself and Ms. Hashiba-san will be the host for today's webinar. So the next slide is for today's, we have honor to have 5 guest speaker. Professor Liu Ming, who is the acting head of Robotics and Autonomous System Trust, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Guangzhou, Director of Intelligent Autonomous Driving Center, Associate Director of Department of Electronics and Computer Engineering, Computer Science and Engineering. So we are very happy for Professor Liu to be the guest speaker, and follow that will be Dr. Crystal Fogg, Director of Science and Technology Park Platform, and from Science and Technology Park, and also Mr. Ronald Yip, who's the Sales Director for Hong Kong and Macau from SoftBank Robotics Hong Kong, and then Mr. Albert Lam, Chief Marketing Officer from Novotel Robotics. And then the last speaker will be Mr. Roy Lim, who's the Vice President of Dongheng Automation Investment. For today, I would like to, on behalf of Invest Hong Kong, would like to thank you, the 2 co-organizers and 7 supporting organizations. For the co-organizer, we thank you very much for Hong Kong Science and Technology Park and also Hong Kong Trade and Development Council for providing all the tremendous support for us. And for the supporting organization, including the Hong Kong University of Science and Technologies, the Japan External Trade Organization Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Japanese Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Japan Robot Association, iRobot Network Forum, and the 2 economic trade office, one from Tokyo and also one from Bangkok. For today's agenda, so it will start with Professor Liu. His topic will be about robotics innovation in Hong Kong. All the speakers will be around 50 minutes. I think that would be a challenge for those speakers because they have so much content. They have to squeeze the content from 30 minutes to 15 minutes. And then after Professor Liu will be Dr. Crystal Fogg, topic about overview of robotic development in Hong Kong, followed by Mr. Ronald Yip. Topics is around Japanese robot company, how to leverage Hong Kong for global expansion. And then Mr. Albert Lam, talking about the robot dog use case in construction, and by Roy Lim about the deployment of smart factory in Hong Kong. So after those 5 speakers, there will be 10 to 15 minutes, depends on the timing for the question and answer, and then will be moderated by myself and also by my colleague Hashiba-san. Without further delay, then let me start with Professor Liu. I hand over the channel to Professor Liu.
Today, I will quickly introduce the problem of robotic perception, especially from the autonomous driving to autonomous logistics. This is a kind of a summary report of what we have been doing in research in robotics with the Intelligent Autonomous Driving Center of Hong Kong UST. When we talk about autonomous driving, basically everyone will have a kind of image or expectation of the future. It's definitely not something like this, a technical term. They will have kind of an image, right? Image probably like the video we show here on the screen. And the autonomous driving vehicles, actually, they can coordinate each other and everything move totally safe. And there's no accidents, and all the planning and the motion of the vehicles are well planned. So that's probably what you can expect, or what you can want to imagine about the future life. Our research on the autonomous driving actually go along with that direction. In the past 10 years, we have been working with the first autonomous car in Europe. Also, we work on the first autonomous driving bus in China. And also we developed the first autonomous driving vehicle in Hong Kong, and also the first autonomous driving boat in Hong Kong. So nowadays we found that the autonomous logistic would be one of the main driving force before the so-called L4 level. That means the fully autonomous level, high-speed autonomous driving. There must be something else. We call that low-speed driving technology that will be used mostly for the last mile delivery or the security and the surveillance, and also the warehouse usage. That's based on the large amount of needs and the increment of the requirement of the for the logistic. It has been reported by these big players, especially the e-commerce players, that in 3 to 5 years, every day probably it's like this Double 11 festival. This is very special in China. That's everybody will do some e-shopping on that day. Last year, actually, the orders per day is already over 1 billion packages need to be sent out. But the fact is, not only in China, also happens in Japan, that the working age among the total population actually is dropping sharply. And that means there won't be enough laborers to do the actual work for sending the packages. So we need to see what kind of key solutions or key technologies can come true in the near future. For example, that can help the automated logistics. That includes several aspects, including the 3D pose estimation and mapping. That means the robot needs to know where it is. Like the autonomous vehicle needs to know where it is, and also not only for indoor, not only for outdoor, also for indoor. We need the indoor mapping and the localization technology for further logistic the package delivery. Also, we need to test the system in more realistic environment, including this 3D mapping of a more complex scenario, etc. So that means we need a bunch of engineering modules. These engineering modules, including the data and the logic system and the human-machine interface, so-called HMI. And based on these commands, we develop the core modules for autonomous driving. And these technology need to support to these core modules. So especially the part in the red square has the following concepts: from the perception to decision making and planning control. And the perception will be supported by sensors, and decision and prediction will be supported by computing, and planning and control will be supported by the car body technologies. So I will give you several examples about the technology context. So firstly, from the perception, we need to work on the so-called 3D navigation to the visual navigation and the real-time perception, so that you know how the 3D world looks like. And then the car can navigate around not only by LiDAR, but also navigate around by the camera system, and can detect the obstacles in real time and to see what happens in real life. So we already got several awards along this direction in the past. And more specifically, when we create this 3D map, we can even use some handheld device. We move around in the environment that will generate the 3D map on the fly in real time. And then we have the 3D analysis about the environment, not only from the LiDAR data, also from the visual data and shown on the right side. So every picture will be converted, or we learn from the picture, so that every pixel will be labeled with different semantic meanings. And finally, we will, when the car is moving on the street or in the confined areas, from the camera, both from the camera and from the LiDAR, we can have a better understanding of the environment. Another thing is that we will generate originally 3D representation of the environment. So when we take such kind of a sensor set on top right and put the sensor on top of the car, and when we drive around a city area, that will construct a 3D representation of the environment in real time. So in the video, you can see the 3D model we created that can also serve not only for the autonomous driving, can also serve the smart city projects. And further, because we have so much contents, I will accelerate a little bit. So based on what we get from the perception, we need to also work on the decision making. That means you know when to stop the car, when to accelerate, when to do the detour. And we first test everything in a simulation. This simulation, we can simulate different kind of weathers, different seasons, a different time of day. So at every experiment, we can change the background weather and other situations freely, so that during one test, you can see even we are on the green lights and others are breaking the red lights, and we can simulate such cases, so that we can have safe interactions with the pedestrians, with other vehicles on the road. So when we put the system on real, you can see that in the middle, the black vehicle is fully autonomous driving. We don't even have a driver's seat. So there's no driver or operator on board. The car can handle the complex environments, and we already put this in use in Foxconn and in Huawei, all these factories already. Okay. For the planning and execution, I will skip this part, and we should know that it's all supported by other sensors and also supported by different kinds of computing units, and different also supported by the car body design and construction. Here you can see that we also put testing environments. We also construct testing environments so that we can do the experiments under a 5G supported environment, so that can handle the complexity of different special environments. So when we put this in use, there are several application domains. For example, this is a last mile delivery system. We collaborated with the SF Express, so their postman can use the cell phone to call autonomous driving car for them to help them with the last mile delivery. And the car can be ordered to different dedicated locations. The car will come here and wait, so that when the postman gets the packages, they can directly put the package on the car, and they can keep on working with the customer, and all the delivery will be further handled by this autonomous vehicle. And that's also helped the so-called fourth industrial revolution, right? We have automated on-off loading system and the continuous running logistic system and the remote surveillance system to connect with the ERP and WMS system, etc. And we have a sizing, you can call that golf cart, and we have a multiple vehicle collaborating so that can serve the sightseeing purpose and different landscape, different locations. And we can also use that for food and package last mile delivery. And when we put some order in a park, and the vehicle will help to fetch the food and fetch the packages from the shop, and then it will deliver to the final customer. Everything will be handled by an autonomous car or without any driver on board. And we have been testing this system over the past 3 years, especially for low-speed driving on the different weather conditions, etc. And with extended applications at different areas. And here are a list of vehicles we have been trying and working on. Okay, our last message is when we talk about the products and the future opportunities, the low-speed vehicle actually can facilitate our life a lot. So that's what the autonomous models can bring to us. But the one consideration is the cost, right? So from the millions of US dollar cost to 100,000 Hong Kong dollar, we are almost there. And from the Hong Kong USD, now we are establishing several sub-organizations to conduct this kind of research. Range from the IADC, which I'm leading. Also, there are several spin-off companies like the Unity Drive Innovation and LIC, etc. Okay, so here last page. At the beginning, we talk about the innovations of the future autonomous driving life, and when we really put the autonomous vehicle onto the working side, you can see that people are getting very curious about the car to see whether it will stop, right? You can see the date is about 2019 January. And when we first put the car onto the industrial park, everybody is quite curious. But nowadays, even the end of 2019, you see everybody is quite used to this car just move around without any driver on board. And that takes some time for the whole society to accept that the autonomous system is really helping and the future is coming. Okay, thanks a lot. If you have further questions, you can scan this barcode to see our websites and get more information. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Liu. I think it's very exciting, particularly the first video. I like it very much. The people that the car walk around and then run around, and then I think that by the time my wife is going on the street driving, I think it's more safer because no way that he can hit me. By the way, I think it's very exciting to know that there's about 250 people online right now watching this webinar. So it's exciting. Thank you so much, Professor Liu. Professor Liu. Thank you so much. And then for the next speaker will be Dr. Christopher, and then I just hand over to Dr. Christopher. Thank you.
Hello, nice to meet you all. I'm Crystal from Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. Okay, so today I will provide you an overview of robotics development in Hong Kong. So a little bit introduction of Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks Corporation is actually supported by the Hong Kong government, which is a science park to support the innovation and technology development in Hong Kong. So this is the agenda today, and I will go through about 5 sections. So the first one is to talk about the driving force for Hong Kong in robotics development. So from these 2 charts, you can easily see that Hong Kong and Japan are facing the same challenge, which is the life expectancy and the growing aging population. So if you can compare Hong Kong to Japan, actually we are just the same. We are in the top 5 countries or region that is having the highest aging population. So the problem being to us is like the workforce is actually decreasing. So right now it's about 1.12 million of people, which is over 60 in 2015, but in 2034, it will be coming 2.28 million. So it's become like 1/4 of the Hong Kong population. So we could easily foresee that most of the skillful workers are approaching the retiring age soon. So these are the driving force and the key that why we need to bring up certain kind of new technology such as automation and robotics. So some case sharing is like a logistics industry. This is still one of the key industry in Hong Kong. So you can see that for the traditional operation, it is highly labor intensive. And also we got lots of stationary machinery, which makes the labor skillful workers to work on. But how that is impacting us is the whole process is inefficient and expensive. And it is not easy to scale up and hardly depending on the labor that we could find out in the market. And recently we have one good company from China, which is GitPlus. This is one of the biggest logistics smart warehouse company in China. And they are working a lot of different kind of robotics, which help us to automate the warehouse solution. And the reason that why GitPlus will consider Hong Kong is because they would like to go out to the global market through Hong Kong as a stepping stone. But you will know that in China, it's easy to make a smart warehouse because space is usually not a big problem. But what about in Hong Kong? So Hong Kong is just like Japan. Space is always a problem. So when they're developing certain kind of new solution in Hong Kong, what they need to do is how they could still provide a high throughput, and at the same time, they have to minimize the scale and also upgrading the efficiency that helping certain kind of industry. So this is one example, is helping a warehouse for a convenience store in Hong Kong. And you can see that they have used a lot of different kind of robots in order to build up the automatic warehouse for this convenience store warehouse. And in construction, it's even in a more difficult situation, because in construction industry, actually most of the tasks, they need highly skillful workers. So you can see that Hong Kong is actually having almost the most high-rise building in the world. So right now it's already over 9,000 high-rise building. And at the same time, the labor costs keep increasing throughout the past 3 years. And the ratio that increases like 27%. And also most of the workers right now are already in the age of 50 or even above. So you can imagine that just in 10 years time, 40% of the workers are actually in the retiring age. And finally, 60% of the construction project are not yet up to standard. So this is why the construction industry is heavily looking into robotics and automation. So one homegrown example is this company called Respect. So what they are doing is on a facade inspection using the drone. The reason that they developed this kind of automatic inspection technologies is because of most of the high-rise building in Hong Kong. If they really want to do the construction, do the inspection, they need a lot of time, and also it's not that easy. And that's why drone is one way that helping us to do the inspection more frequently and more accurately. So this company is right now going quite well, and their project is not only for commercial buildings, but also a lot of projects for the Hong Kong government. And another one is how that we could really downskill the workers level, because if we could make the manual work to become semi-automatic, actually the skill set for the workers could be easily diminished. And that's why the welding robot come across these days, because what the workers has to do is just control or simply program a little bit for the welding robot. They don't really have to learn throughout the whole welding process. So this is one way that how the construction industry is downskilling the skill set for the workers right now. So the final area that I would like to share is about the smart manufacturing. So when people think about Hong Kong, actually no one will think about manufacturing. But right now, actually the Hong Kong government is pushing quite a lot for the reindustrialization. So what they are supporting this initiative is to help in investing in a lot of capex. For example, the building construction as well as the renovation of the factory, and also help to create more value add to the production. And we also encourage the local consumption in order to provide a stable supply chain. And we got a lot of funding to support the R&D activities within the reindustrialization initiative. And more importantly, we are not encouraging people to produce certain general products. We hope that those manufacturing in Hong Kong is mainly focused on some high value add products and also highly automated process. So I think that one of the speakers today will further discuss the technology very soon. And what we got from Science Park is actually the facilities. So we are having several new industrial buildings to come up soon. And we will have a certain theme for all these buildings. For example, for new material development and production, medical device or equipment, as well as electronics. So all these new industrial buildings will be set up and built according to the needs and requirement. For example, if you need compressed air or high power supply, all these will be built in within these new buildings. So as I mentioned, Hong Kong is in a very special location within the global footprint. So many people will consider Hong Kong as the gateway to the Greater Bay Area. And that's true because, for example, if you want to recruit tenants into the China market, it's not that easy. But if you just want them to stay in Hong Kong, it's actually quite easy to do so. So Hong Kong could actually be a gateway for companies they are looking for a bigger market within China. So for Hong Kong Science Park, we also have several footprints. We got the Science Park, which is holding the R&D companies. So right now we got almost over thousands. But if you are working on any kind of manufacturing, we got the Industrial X Days. And just opposite to Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, we got a new setup, which is the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park. So two technology parks, one in Hong Kong and one in China, are just facing opposite together. So you could imagine that if you want to get into the Greater Bay Area for Hong Kong, this space is very special. And finally, I would like to talk about the support from the Hong Kong and Science Technology Park. So right now we have already over 1,000 technology companies within the park coming from 23 different countries or regions. And for the working population, this is now over 10,000 R&D professionals within the park. And also we got several unicorns coming up, which are all homegrown. And more importantly, we always want to help companies to grow. So investment is a really big support to them. So if your company is in the growing stage and you are looking for investment, actually our investment team could help you to find a lot of resources and capital ventures. So no matter which stage that you're in for your company, actually we got a very comprehensive incubation program to support. So you can look at the left-hand side. If you are just an individual or a small company with an idea, you could already join our STEP program. So once you set up the company, we got the incubation program for 3 or 4 years. And then once you graduate, if your company could still going to another stage, we also have 3 different acceleration programs to support. And even though you are really success, and you would like to expand even further, we got the elite program to help you to grow to the next stage as well. So all these programs, I think, properly fit into companies in any scale. And also, we also help companies to drive the market adoption. So we have good relationship with government departments and some really well-known corporates worldwide. So we always introduce our park companies to all these partners and to encourage them to adopt the technology solutions homegrown in Hong Kong. And at the bottom, those are some facilities that we are supporting different companies. So for example, if you want to look for biomedical development, you don't really need to invest in all the machineries because we have certain communal facilities to support the companies to work on their own R&D. So finally is the fundraising platform. So as I mentioned before, Science Park is also one of the investors. So if you want us to invest in your company, we will do co-invest with other partners as well. So right now the record is like 1 to 10, which means that if Science Park is going to invest $1, we could usually find another $10 from the market. So it is actually a good ratio that helping company to do the fundraising. And also if you want to connect with the capital venture network, we also have plenty of programs that you could easily join in. So this is a brief introduction of the robotics phenomenon in Hong Kong. So if you have any question, we could answer in the Q&A section.
Thank you very much, Dr. Christopher, for the very exciting sharing about the cases about the supply chain, the robot used in the supply chain, and also robot used in the construction area, and then the kind of the benefit and also the kind of offering from Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. The next speaker is Mr. Ronald Yip, who is from the SoftBank Robotics Hong Kong. And I met with Ronald before, and then he represent the one of the SoftBank robot, which is for disinfection. I think that would be a good for learning more about how he used Hong Kong for the product expansion globally. Thank you, Doctor. I hand over to Mr. Ronald Yip.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
So good afternoon. So let's wait for the slide first. Okay. So today our topic is talking about our Japanese robotics company, how it leveraged Hong Kong for global expansion. Okay. I'm not going to make a very formal presentation, but instead, I'm going to tell you a story which is related to SoftBank Robotics Hong Kong and the collaboration with a local Hong Kong company. So, but before I'm telling you the story, I have to introduce about the SoftBank Robotics Hong Kong. Okay. So I think most of you understand and heard about SoftBank Robotics, and maybe you don't know about our investor or major shareholders. Of course, the chairman of SoftBank Group, Masayoshi, is one of the major shareholder, and actually there are two other major shareholders. Mr. Ma Yun, he is the chairman of Alibaba Group, and Mr. Kok Tai Ming, he is the chairman of the Forcepoint Group. So these three gentlemen has the dream is to make the robots to help the people for all the tough job in the future. So that's why they formed the company of SoftBank Robotics, and actually starting from 2016. Some products were launched out to the market. The first one is from the right-hand side. That is a Pepper, which is a concierge product robot, and actually it can interact with human. And the middle one is Lao. Lao is the majorly developed for the STEM usage. Probably in the school, you find that there are so many school which Lao is inside. And in 2019, we have the first surfacing robot, which is called Whiz, which is the left-hand side product. It is the autonomous victim cleaning robot. So as you may know, SoftBank Group, there is a vision fund. Actually, there are so many portfolio companies invest by the vision fund. So SoftBank Robotics utilize the resources from the vision funds because there are so many new technologies company, and we integrate those new technology and make the product. So of course, for Pepper and for Lao is not a service robot, but we integrate with the navigation system. We integrate with the cleaning system. So the first one, this is the integrated product, and we want to launch it as to the market as a robot as a service. And we were doing the go-to-market all over the world. So except for the cleaning industry, actually we are targeting on construction, food and beverage, and office use, or concierge or cashier as well. And starting from 2019, SoftBank Robotics expanded its network. We had the global footprint. We have not only the Japan but also the APAC. APAC include Hong Kong office, which I'm working on in it, and also China, Korea, Singapore, and Australia. And of course, not only APAC area, but also the North America. We have a United States. We have office in United States, and we have offices in Europe as well. So starting from 2019, we were trying to launch the robot as a service all over the world. So as I mentioned, this waste is the first vacuum cleaning robot, and actually also the first robot as a service business model. And in our Hong Kong office, it is our first product to be launched in 2019. So I joined Software Robotics Hong Kong in August of 2019, and actually we start launch to the market at the end of 2019. So in first 3 months, we got a very good result. Of course, at that moment, as I mentioned, the first vacuum cleaning robot and the first RAAS model, which we never heard in Hong Kong, but we launched at that moment. And we have another achievement is was that we were the highest achievement sales office in APAC region. So all over APAC other office like Singapore, like Australia. So Hong Kong achieved the best results. This is some photos or some information about what where did we launch. For example, this is a benchmark cases. This is a benchmark case in Hong Kong International Airport. So our first customer, and actually our first airport customer all over the world, is Hong Kong International Airport. So they're willing to adopt new technologies. And at that moment, the COVID-19 just started, and they are happy to deploy waste into airport like the waiting area and the check-in areas. And the second target that we had achieved is hospitality sectors. We are not only deployed to 4-star and 5-star hotel in Hong Kong and Macau, and also we deploy waste into some quarantine hotels as well. So of course, some casino is trying to use waste as a POC case. You see the middle photo, that is the smoking area inside casino. Then in Hong Kong, we also achieved to launch, to deploy waste into different shopping mall or office lobbies. So the largest shopping malls in Hong Kong, there were around 40 to 50. So probably we had maybe 1/3 or 1/2 or 50% of a shopping mall, they already adopt waste and show it to the public. And probably waste was using in the entrance of each shopping mall. For other public areas like medical clinic floors, the exit to MTR, Chinese restaurant, which was a very lovely story because that was a wedding ceremony, wedding dinner, which is the visitor or the guest to do the vacuum cleaning. And of course, MTR station as well. So we did very good job at that moment. It was around March, April of 2020 last year. So our customers or our clients was happy to show that they use waste, and they show all the news waste photo onto their social media page. However, we were facing some hurdles at that moment, especially the COVID-19 was start. The city was locked down, and the budget of our customers was freezed. So they don't want to pay more. They don't want to spend more money on on everything except disinfection. Okay, so most of our customer ask whether we can do the disinfection instead of a vacuum cleaning only. So for us, we have to react very fast, and we have to discuss with our headquarters, Software Robotics Japan, to see whether we have some additional feature that we can add to this. So at that moment, around May and June, we start the discussion every week or even twice a week. So different location of software and robotics offices, we try to input some ideas. So you can see the left-hand side, the idea from Japan. We add a sprayer. And the middle and the right-hand side, this is the idea inject from Software and Robotics Hong Kong. We add some diffuser on it. The middle one is the two small diffusers, but the right-hand side is the larger one. Okay, so we try to have a global meeting to discuss which one is the best method to do to match with our customers. But the previous slide showed the fee proposal was not good because we received a very good proposal from a Hong Kong local company. So this company is called Avalon, and they provide a prototype when we discuss with them, and they provide the prototype to us within 2 months. That means around August 2020. And actually, in September 2020, they can make the prototype, can put it into some potential customer for POC as well. So we immediately report to our Japan headquarters, and finally, our management was very happy to work closer with them. So actually, this how to say disinfection machine adding on waste is a professional grade disinfectant system, which is how to say SGS Hong Kong already has certified its performance, and we at that moment we immediately start the go to market in Hong Kong as well. So we tried several hotels, we try some office buildings, we get some positive feedback, and we do the go-to-market in Hong Kong. Of course, for the local company, they immediately find the local supplier to make the product as well. So without working together with this local company, I think at this moment we're still selling the vacuum cleaning robot only. But with this add-on feature or add-on module, right now we are selling disinfection robot plus vacuum cleaning features. So lastly, I would like to share why did we choose to cooperate with a Hong Kong company. So I can say the first one is a very fast response time. So when we had a lot of internal discussion for what kind of feature or what kind of module that we have to add to make the disinfection features happen. Sorry. Okay. But finally, our company, even they don't have any, we don't have invest any money to them, but they make a prototype to us and show us with the potential customer as well. And second, for such kind of product, not only we have to make it fast, but also we have to find production partners. So whenever it is go to market, there will be a very large scale. So production is very important. So this company cooperate with Chinese manufacturer, which is also a Hong Kong company as well. So and they make the product very good, and is how to say, is ready to go to market. And of course, it's convenient to go to market because, you know, in Hong Kong, we are easy to find some hotels, easy to find some office building for do the POC. And of course, there are two more advantages for working with Hong Kong company. The first one is we easy to expand the business in Pan-China. So not only Hong Kong, but also Macau, China, mainland as well. And actually, is in Hong Kong, it is easy for us to do the international sales as well. So right now, our disinfection module is promoting to not only Singapore, but also in Europe and Northern America. So we can easily to make the voice, we can easily to draw the market attention. So that's why finally at this moment, as of today, I can say SoftBank Robotics Hong Kong make a very good decision to work with a Hong Kong company for this kind of new product global expansion. So that's the end of my storytelling. So in case you have any question, you can ask me in the Q&A session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ronald Yip. I think exciting to know that you found a right partner in Hong Kong so that you can further enhance your product and make it work in Hong Kong, and also expansion to the proximity market like Pan-Asian. And the next speaker will be Mr. Albert Lam, who's from, I have to say how to pronounce his name. Novotel. Novotel. It's a French word.
It's a French word.
New. Is it new?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for educating me about the new French word. And then he will talk about the robot dog. Let's see how smart is the dog. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our company name is Novotel. Novotel is old French, always searching for something new. I think that is something that we all are searching for right now. And adopting robotics in construction is something that I'd like to share today. Our company is founded in 2019 and currently also under the incubation program in Science Park. And we aim to have more adoption of robotics around a lot of different scenarios and collaborating SLAM, IoT, and 5G, and definitely with autonomous moving technology. And we are a all one-stop robotic solution company from planning, managing, building, and measure. And this is definitely one of the essential essence that we are serving many of those enterprises in Hong Kong. And definitely, I believe similar scenario or service culture is also the same according to what is being served in Japan. And why I like to bring this up is because in today's adoption of robotics, planning stage is definitely one of the most important part in the actual successful deployment. After services is also something that we are serving well to our all kinds of different scenario of clients. And also with the Greater Bay, we have a lot of flexibility in terms of additional building up over the accessories and adopting local AI technology. Finally, last but not the least, is about data measurement. Adoption of enterprises in over robotics, they always need a lot of measurement of the usage and also the IoT sensors and other extended related technology devices. And in Hong Kong, construction has always been one of the major topics in terms of looking how fast the city is building up. And the coming up strategy in smart city. In the slide here, we can share some of our patrol robot then being used during the whole construction. So this is a project we work with EMSD, which is also a government bureau over how to promote robotics in terms of construction. And we have been the deployment company over how to put this like a tank or rather like a Jeep or SUV like of a robot in construction area. From a lot of on the screen, you can see a lot of sensors are being built inside this robot, and they can check all the toxic or temperature and any kind of sensors you want to add into it. With two big eyes on the top of it, you will see thermal images, and as well as a high density camera over 5G, as well as other way of transmitting all these images. So this is being deployed in a construction academy in Hong Kong. We call it the CIC Academy, and where they help the teaching over all these construction professionals. Okay, so this is something that being used in academy, but also in actual construction. What I'm sharing also today is a quadruped robots in construction site. For this kind of robot, it is built without wheels, but with actual legs. So with this kind of leg, it can overcome this kind of like staircases or irregular condition of the road that is very common in construction site. So looks very similar to many other corrupted robot, is that it can bear a lot of different kind of working conditions. And on the top of it, we can get a hold of like VR camera or 5G router, sensors, all these kinds of things. And we are currently the partner for working with Polytechnic University in Hong Kong, making the first robot that is using this space and using it for an inspection scenario in construction site. And we see a lot of similar adoption of this kind of robot base in US as well as in Europe. And many of these utilization is at patrolling, inspection, and surveying, which is also very common in terms of a construction site. Thirdly, is that we also have disinfection robot being deployed across all these construction area, making sure that our combat against the COVID-19 is being well prepared. Another thing is that we also are working with another science park robotic company, the NEO Robotics, which is actually working on a magnificent project, delivering heavy rocks and bricks across difficult working conditions like staircase. So while the dog is doing inspection, we also need some tools to help our construction worker to move around with this kind of heavy construction material. And with the adoption of such robot, it can lift up to 120 kg across all this kind of stair climbing, well, 150 actually. And we are also adopting the 5G remote control and monitoring so that the robot can be controlled remotely. Excuse me. And this is how we do the COVID in Hong Kong. So, and from here, you can see that the robot itself is actually have different conveyor kind of design that can climb up and down staircases. More importantly is that you can see the cabin on the top is actually balanced out while the carry upon the staircase, so the rope will not fall out, and that is very important for safety concern. Yep. So you can see that the design of it is very innovative, that it has actually 4 conveyor in between, and it can turn in very condensed area. As you know that in staircase actually is very narrow, and you need to have a very robust of the moving capability in terms of moving. Remote control is already being realized in our R&D, and secondly is that it can also be as safe as emergency stop when it has certain encounter of human being. So you can see the sensor is actually very sensitive. So in construction, not only holding heavy things, but also safetyness is something that we also look into. And on the next slide, you will see that actually we have site demonstration. We can put a lot of heavy sand, bag, sands, rock, and also brick, and then we can just walk in front of it, leaving hand-free for all these construction moving parts up and down. So this is actually being taken place on an actual construction site, and it helped our construction worker move along all these kind of heavy loaded materials up and down the street without elevator. So currently, this is also being one of the first 5G project using in construction in Hong Kong, because it has been submitted for a Hong Kong 5G subsidy program in offering from the Hong Kong government that we are promoting 5G. And this is going to be, if it is successful, it could be widely adopted in all the construction, not only in building, but also this construction. Okay, so above all these kind of projects that we have done, the adoption in Hong Kong over robotics has been very, very fast for the past 24 months, especially over the COVID-19 period. We find that there have been a lot of works are not suitable for human, which it could not be realized before the COVID. And we can see that it's going to be not only in the healthcare sector that we have projects that is helping out our frontline colleagues, but also in terms of public sector, how to do it in more efficient way and in a more safe, secure way. And just like in Hong Kong, we have a lot of engineers and services support that can help adoption being smooth. And also if it is across, even the technology is actually from across the border, from Japan or in Europe or any other countries, we have the capability to make sure that our client have the localization capability as well as the software development capability. These are some of the projects we adopt, not only in the public sector, but also in commercial sector like restaurant and hotel. And I believe education is also one of the important sector that we can work between across country of adoption over how to use STEM or making sure our new generation have robots capability. And that's why in Hong Kong, there are so many enterprises eager to adopt robots. And I think that cross-border technology can always bring more value to us. Last but not the least, we are welcome if you have the chance to come to our office in Science Park. And I think that you will find a lot more technology and fun things here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Albert Lam. I think it's exciting to hear that you have different products, right? It's being innovated or with R&D done in Hong Kong, particularly using a Science Park facility. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the next speaker is Mr. Roy Lim. I know Roy quite long, maybe a year. So we'll be talking about the automation, how the robot is being used in the automation industry, particularly maybe in Hong Kong, also in China, right? So I hand it over to Roy. Thank you. Yes.
Hello, everyone. So our company is called Tongheng Automation. And as the name suggested, it's an automation company, and our clients involved are mostly factories in China, Foxconn or Tesla. It's all these robotic arms that you can imagine moving things around and using servo motors to convey products from side to side. So we have worked with Mitsubishi for 42 years. And now we are globally the largest distributor of their products. And let's talk a little bit about how we can use our daily heard AI, robotics, IoT, all these kind of jargons. How can we use them in a factory so that we are bringing these factories finally to Hong Kong? So as you can see here, we are talking about invention. Invention is something that is new, that is AI, that is robotics. And on the very end, the other end of it is implementation. Where can we find the most amount of implementation? It is definitely in a factory. So in between, we will want to build a bridge, which is how to use these AI and robotics and put them in actual use. So what are AIs? What can we use in the factories? We have facial recognition, we have search algorithm, we have targeted marketing, we have autopilot technology, we have seen a lot today, and chatbots, and even big data analysis for disease control, which is very important in the last year. So we are also talking about deep AI, strong AI that we can learn itself to adopt to your environment. So here is an example. We used to build some automatic line for factories of building watches. They might use a CNC machine to build watch, but at the end of that line, they have to polish their watch. So you need to bring that watch onto a 2000 RPM wheels. And that wheel is actually like, oops. That wheel is actually very fast. So if you slip, it will just fly out and hit your forehead and you die immediately. Or if while you are polishing, there are actually a lot of dust coming out. If the concentration of these dust gets to a certain level, the entire factory might explode. So all these problems we have automated into one robotics facilities. So first, we use robots to polish the entire stuff. And then we put these watches onto a very high resolution camera. And by learning what is a good product and what is a bad product, we finally can automate the entire inspection. So no more workers needs to be watching very closely every day. Also, we are building a lot of predictive maintenance with sound, because as you might have learned how a Ferrari sound, how a Mercedes-Benz sound, it actually has a lot of patterns that you can recognize. We might be able to recognize some of it, like the picture in the upper left corner. The worker can recognize a problem when they hear some very specific sound. This can be done by AI very efficiently. It can even predict something that is going to happen 3 months from now. Of course, if we are talking about manufacturing, there are music and manufacturing as well. It's quite amazing how AI can be composing themselves. But of course, AI always follows rules. So what we are doing is we are building it to do repetitive stuff. We are asking it to learn from our rules. And it cannot compose like Beethoven. It cannot draw a picture. It cannot write stories. Okay, so with these kind of tools, let's move a little bit on to robotics. Now we have all these algorithms. We have written programs. Now we are actually affecting the world. How do we do that? We replace all these dirty, dull, dangerous, dear, problematic work with robots. It will just keep working day by day, and then it can remove all the unnecessary human work. For example, in Shanghai, And as you can see, this is all the robot is doing, moving the iPad onto the conveyor belt, move it onto the test station, back and forth. They used to hire a lot of workers just to do this. It's very boring, it's meaningless. We should be replacing these. And as we talked about, this is how you polish now in 2021. This is still the real factory, what you're looking at. So we are quickly replacing all these factories by this machine. We are actually, and we are removing dangerous work. We are making even better products than humans. Now, yes. A lot of robots actually can do things that is beyond what we imagine. Of course, you can paint, you can plaster, you can do a lot of automatic work in a building. And then now we also want these robots to know about the environment. So how do we do that? We are spending a lot of time finding some sensors so that the robots and all these algorithms that we wrote can actually do something meaningful. So first of all, we use vision. So an inspection rover is always used. We take a high resolution camera, we move it around in an area, we read the text, we read the meters, and then we interpret all these data into a digitalized form, and then we upload it into the cloud. Now we have a lot of analog data which we could not be interpret in the computer before. Now, how do we use these? For example, here we are looking at the pizza machine. It is just making pizza with robots, and it is cooking it, it is putting the ketchup on it. Very simple technology. But at the end of the pizza manufacturing, we are actually putting the pizza onto an oven. And there are, the ovens are all on the truck. There are 50 ovens in one truck, and this truck will deliver it directly to the customers. And 6 minutes before the truck arrives, which is done by the GPS, we will turn on the oven so that the pizza is crispy and hot. So these are some very tiny information that we can obtain from our environment that makes the entire process completely different and better.
We're here at Zoom.
So let's look at a few more very magical sensors that we are looking at. Wiliot, it's a completely wireless, limitless battery sensor. It can sense temperature, it can sense humidity, whatever you put on it, but it is taking energy from the Wi-Fi signal. So all we need to do is put this onto a machine in a factory, and then it will just continuously work forever and ever. So we don't have to pull the wires, we don't have to install them. All we need is wireless technology. This has just received 200 million from SoftBank like 3 days ago. And why charge? We are also talking about how we can transmit more energy wirelessly. This, you can transmit power without a lot of power loss in a 10-meter distance. So this is also very important for a very big factory where we need to put sensors in a lot of places. Also, we are looking at autonomous cranes, which we need a lot of information from visual cameras, we need sensors, we need weight, of the entire crane. So these are examples that we need a lot of sensors for. And then we will play this video as well. We're looking at movable floors that actually are installed on the factory ground and will just move around all by itself magnetically. So this is the future of conveying. We are talking about 2D conveyors, not just one-dimensional anymore. And here we have one more sensor, which is for taking the pattern of electricity. So every machine has an electric input. And if we put the sensor at the back of a machine, take the electricity and analyze it, we can actually find out what the machine is doing. For example, here we are talking about a coffee machine. It is making macchiato. It is making cappuccino. That sensor will be able to tell you exactly what it is doing just by analyzing with AI the pattern of the electricity. So we have covered a lot of sensors, a lot of robots, and only by utilizing all these technology, then we can actually deploy the very complicated factories in Hong Kong, because there are so many labors, there are so many very tiny bits of stuff. If we put too many people into the factories, it's going to get dirty. So we really need to look at more sensors, more robots in order to actually get manufacturing back to reindustrialize Hong Kong. So let's end there, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Roy. I think it's very exciting to know that you bring a lot of new technologies to Hong Kong, different sensors, right? And then 200 million US dollar. That's very exciting. I think we move it to the next part is about the Q&A. Thank you. So I think the first question will be going to Professor Liu. So Professor Liu, so there's a question about, because you are coming from the academic, right? So the people want to know more about the future. So what do you think will be the development you see in the future of robot together with computing network, or maybe with AI, whatever? So what do you see about the forward-looking robot development, Professor?
So AI itself is kind of enabling technology. You cannot just consider AI as a standalone industry. AI is not a standalone industry, but it's a more enabling technology, so that can, in a way, to use the data, for example, some data-driven method, use the data to help machines to better understand the world, so that the machine can have better interaction with the world. So for the future, AI working as enabling technology can better relieve the labors from human, and also to help increase the efficiency of the existing works in the current situation. So general AI is you cannot say that AI can do everything for you. At least at the current moment, it has its own limitations. So we still need to balance our expectation and how the technology to which level the technology can reach. So.
Thank you, Professor. So maybe the next question I'm going to Roy. I think this is after your presentation, I think a couple of things, right? So one is about the AI robotics. The other is about communication, particularly in Hong Kong or China. We've got the 5G. And then your application will be the industry, right? So the combining all together. So the question is, how can the AI and robotic company adopt 5G for the industrial manufacturing in Hong Kong or maybe in China? So any insight you can share with us?
Yes, we have waited for 5G for a long time. We have waited 30 years, and now it's finally came. And what we can do about it is, as you know nowadays, Microsoft Words or a lot of functions are all put on the cloud.
Mhm.
They are no longer installed in your computer.
Right.
But in the industrial world, we have the PLC right next to the machines all the time. Why couldn't we make it onto a cloud before? Because we did not have 5G. Now we are talking about the ability to put all the program in the cloud and then remotely move these machines, give it commands line by line, and it will just carry out perform the task you wanted to do. So with this technology, we are talking about a factory does not need all the machines they need. So there is a CNC machine, there is a pressing machine, there are so many machines that they need to own before. Now they are actually, they are capable of having a distributed factories. So I have a process, I might need to make something with all these process pressing, the drilling. Now I can send one task to one factory, the other task to the other factories, and then finally they can just send me the final product. So this is a very new ecology.
Thank you so much. I think it's the segregation of work, right? So it can be done by the 5G. That is very interesting. The next question is to Albert. So given that I've seen a lot of different cases that you've been doing in Hong Kong, so the question is about how can you enhance the robot technology adoption in Hong Kong? So,
yeah, thank you for the question. So first of all, adoption always means ROI, return over investment, which means that it's always come to a point that where economy of scale makes sense. And in terms of today's topic, adoption of robotics in construction definitely would need a lot of integration with government bodies like Science Park or like construction department, as well as the university, because all this kind of usage would need to be localized, adopting local legibility or regulatory kind of areas. And what we have done for the past, I would say the past few months, that we have started a lot of discussion with universities as well as actual practical demonstration in the adoption. Hopefully that will be making a lot of inspiration to the construction industry over how to make use of robots, which is actually a really new question.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe I hand it over to Hashiba-san for some other question for other speaker.
Okay, thank you, Andy. There's another question for Albert about the construction industry. The audience wants to ask you about how you see the future of the construction industry in 10 years' time or in 50 years' time, using all the robotics and AI technology. Can you answer it for us?
Yes, thank you. For how constructions are being, I would say, seen in the future, we can see that the aging problem is happening to every country in the whole world. And all this kind of manual work definitely will be replaced by using new technology, because there will not be enough supply to sustain such kind of repetitive and you need a strong body to move parts away here and there. All this kind of work, definitely we need a tool to replace the gap between the supply of labor force. And robots definitely is one of the way. Just like what Roy said or Crystal said and all our panelists said, making all our parts remotely definitely is one of the most common adoption in terms of robotics. Somewhere else, not on site. And also on the regular basis or on-site labor, we will also be using robotic as a tool to help them move, help them build, and people can be much more efficient and less labor intensive while in making a construction complete. That is what I see in the 10 years, not necessarily to be 50 years.
Thank you, Albert. Maybe Crystal, do you have anything to add to Albert? Because you also mentioned about the construction industry in Hong Kong.
Yeah, sure. So the reason that we try to adopt more robotics technology in construction is because we really want to recruit more young people to get into the industry. As you know, if just stay with the existing situation, most of the workers are going to retire soon. So why not we have tried to make the whole construction industry to become another image, which is to incorporate the robotics technology in it, so that even though the young people will be interested to work in this field of work. And at the same time, no matter it's a construction industry council or the Hong Kong government, they are putting on a lot of funding to support the end user, which means that if any construction company, they would like to adopt the technology, the CIC or the government will provide funding to them, which means that they are lowering the barrier in order for technology adoption. So we do hope that at least we could try to lower the age group of workers from 50 years old, let's say, down to 40 or even 30 years old in the next 10 to 20 years time.
Okay, thank you. I have two questions for Crystal. One is a very practical one. It's like how Hong Kong Science Park and tenants can participate in the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park, and is there programs for existing or potential Science Park tenants for that?
Yeah, this is a very good question, and many people already asking for over a year. But I would say that there's no particular program being announced yet. But another one is for Hong Kong Science Park. We have already set up an office in Shenzhen, which means that in the future, if you are a tenant in the Science Park in Hong Kong, you could also enjoy or set up your office in Shenzhen more easily. So I think this is the first step that how we have one science park in two regions. So for the Hong Kong and Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park, because they are also in our board of directors. So actually both Shenzhen and Hong Kong government are right now designing which kind of program that we do we need to introduce to the companies. And one potential thing is the people. So for example, if people in Shenzhen, they would like to work within the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park, actually they don't need to apply for the visa or the working visa right now. So this is to ease the way that how companies could set up their labs or R&D center within the two regions.
Thank you very much. Another question is that how can Hong Kong leverage its niche for companies to tap into manufacturing industry in China? I think it's a bit related to the first question, but could you answer that for us?
Yeah, sure. So I think the Hong Kong government has been putting a lot of effort and support to the innovation and technology industry in the past 5 years. So for this kind of support, not only the funding, but also how that the government is adopting the technology from companies as well. So as you know, many companies from overseas, it's not easy to get into the China market because they need some time to work on the localization and customization. So in Hong Kong, no matter for the legal system, for the taxation, for the people, and also for the funding, it is a very good environment for easy lending. So this is one niche that I think overseas companies could leverage in order to get into the bigger market in China. And at the same time, we could also leverage the proximity of Hong Kong to the manufacturing base within the Greater Bay Area, which means that you can keep your design R&D and even the IP within Hong Kong, but you could easily do the manufacturing in China, and all these logistics are already there. And the whole supply chain, no matter you are getting things from Europe, US, Japan, or somewhere else, you could easily pass through Hong Kong custom. And that's why I think all these those benefits for companies to leverage Hong Kong.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for Ronald. I think you have talked about this already in your presentation a bit, but maybe the audience want to know a little bit more in detail. The question is, what role can Hong Kong, mainland, and Japan take in the R&D and also business development of AI and like robotics and other cutting-edge technologies? And also, what kind of collaboration can be pursued for better technology and business development?
Okay, thank you for your question. To answer it, in terms of R&D, probably I think the mainland, Hong Kong, and Japan, each of them has the advantage. For example, in Japan, actually I had worked for Japanese companies for almost 20 years. I'm the guy to talk about Japanese company and Japanese culture, and I think that Japanese company has a very good quality system. So every people all over the world, they have a confidence about the product of Japanese product. And so it's because they have a very good control or internal monitoring or on this system. And we have to utilize for them because, for doing the new technologies, it's not only a research, but you have to consider about whether the product can be realized in the market, whether the product can be launched. Okay, so this is the advantage for Japan. And for mainland, of course, we all understand the manufacturing. They have a world-class manufacturing plant, and also they have plenty of labor or space for the testing as well, especially for AI. Even though AI product is developed, but it had to be tested or to do more demonstration or POC until they can launch to the market. So that's why mainland is where we have a large advantage to do it. For Hong Kong, I can say the characters of Hong Kong people, we should do the project management. So for example, in the previous project that I worked in SoftBank and local Hong Kong company, actually I was the project management for this JV discussion. So Hong Kong people has the execution ability, and actually we have passion to do it. So about the collaboration between product development and technology and business development, I don't say that is the technology, but I say that is a product development, because technology is too far away. It's just a kind of a technology, but in terms we have to discuss between to relate between business development. I should say product development and business development. So probably I think that it is a chicken and egg question. So we have to get a product first, or we have to know the market first. So this is always a debate between sales and the product development team. So I always believe that without knowing the market, without checking or having the research with the end users, what our product development is just a risk. It's just a gambling. So that's why these two teams or two departments has to work very closely before they fix the product, before they have a project, define a new project. So that's my answer.
Yeah.
I have one question to Professor Liu, because from the academic perspective, right, for the robot development, which part maybe I'm a layman, right? Is that the component level, or is the assembling of different top-notch kind of sensor or whatever up together is important, or the backend AI important? So what are the key part you think is important to make the robot to leap forward, to make the robot to have a more a wider business user case?
Okay, that's a good question. Because the university academic can do only limited things, right? Because we can do publication in certain areas, so that this point from point to point, for example, localization, precision, or this localization both indoor, outdoor, that's a one specific research topic. But if you only have localization, that's not a robot, right? You for the robotic system, you need not only localization, but you also need the planning, obstacle detection, and today you have from electronics to electric parts and the mechanical parts. So finally, you need to assemble everything together to have a complete robot system. So the AI can serve as a backbone, right? So if you don't have anything about AI, no concept about AI, then definitely it won't work. But if you only have the algorithms, that's not everything about the robotic system. So if you want to have a functionable robotic system, so assembly, in a way, so-called integration technology is also important. So from our research, we try to put the robotic research into more like a practical use cases. You can see in the videos I demonstrated previously. So we can have a mobile autonomous vehicle to carry the packages around, passengers around. That's the result of system integration. So, but when we talk about the key technologies, I can point out, like some of the slides, I can point out, that's how we do the mapping, that's how we do the detection. So actually, the integration is important for the final application and the final product. But it has to be built based on the sufficient knowledge and the know-how about the AI algorithms.
Thank you. So I think today, right, I just close up. I hope that today we have the speaker from the academic side, speaker from the R&D infrastructure, which is from the science park, and also the company who actually make use of science park for further enhancement of their product, and also some company who do the modification with the product from Japan and then using the local company to enhance their product, and also the industry manufacturing. I hope that can give you a flavor about what Hong Kong can offer, and then please feel free to reach out to the people in here on the screen, which is myself, Andy Wong from Invest Hong Kong side, and also Jennifer, and also from Japan is Hashiba-san, and also Nakata-san, and also from Thailand as well. So anything add from Hashiba-san?
No, actually, thank you everyone for the guest speakers for sharing your experience and all insights. It was very interesting. Actually, we are receiving voices from the attendees that they really enjoyed your presentations. And I hope, like, as Andy said, if you feel like you want to introduce your products to Hong Kong market, or you're going to set up in Hong Kong, right now we have COVID-19, so it's a bit difficult to travel to Hong Kong, but we are here to support you to prepare when you can go to Hong Kong and start your business. And also, like, if you are in Hong Kong to expand business in Hong Kong, we are here besides you. So please contact us anytime. Thanks.
And also we have to thank you for two simultaneous translator who's been working very hard to translate the slide and also to do the simultaneous translation. And then with that, the end, and then go back to watch the Olympic Games now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.